All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Good evening to all of you night owls out there. It is Tacoma Comics here, hanging out with my friend Mike Rogers from the Greater Plantations of Rhode Island, the state with the longest state name, if you say the full name. And it is Wine and Comics late at night with Tacoma Comics. And today we are going to be pairing a pretty horrible wine. I tasted it already with one of my favorite comics of all time. And I'm going to start off with the comic 1987 Spider-Man versus Wolverine. This is my reader copy, and I usually hate that phrase, reader copy, but this is actually a copy that I read annually, probably since 1987. This is my nice copy. I don't think I'll ever get it slabbed. I'll just keep it in safe, tucked away. Don't take it out of the bag. But because I don't even want to ruin my reader copy too much, I've got the 1990 reprint from the newsstand right here, Spider-Man versus Wolverine, with a different cover, but as far as I could tell, the same exact interiors. The wine that we're drinking is, I hit the grocery store last week and stocked up a bunch of bottles so I wouldn't have to go back too often. They're having a sale and they're having one of those buy six, get a discount. So I just picked up some different wines. And the wine that I got was this Sauvignon Blanc from 19 Crimes, which is part of the Living Wine Labels family. And what you can do is you can download an app, scan this. Captain Comics, how you doing? Welcome. You can scan this and it gives you a whole story. And I'll go into that a little bit later. Needless to say, it's not, I don't think it was worth the time or the effort for any of that. I'm just going to go ahead and drop this in. Anybody that is interested, of course, is always welcome to join me. So let's just talk a bit about this book. All right, this book came out in 1987, and it's a larger, probably double-sized book, and it cost $2.50. Now, in 1987, for me to spend $2.50 on a comic was quite a bit. Most comics were about 60, 75 cents most of my teenage years in the 80s, and so, even when they went up to $1, okay, $1.25, fine. $2.50, that was really pushing it. So, the reason I don't want to take this one out, even though it's not the one in the best condition, is because this has that sentimental meaning to me. I bought this comic off the newsstand. I took it home and I read it and I read it and I read it and I read it. And I said, wow. And at the time, it was just like a story that I liked. I didn't get that the main character that they were both they were both involved was a female, even though the hints were pretty obvious to somebody who has familiarity with stories that I didn't when I was 15 to 16 years old. I didn't get that. But when I was about 1990, 91, I sold my entire comic book collection, which at the time was $200-300. And I kept a handful of books. That is one of the ones that I kept and still have with me, that original, plus the nicer copy that I bought a year or two back. And then this one that I found at Half Price Books. And like I said, this is the one that I'm going to go through for the show today. So our 19 Crimes Sauvignon Blanc, and, is gimmicky when it's called a Sauvignon Blanc, just because, like, it says cell block. You all got that and you're laughing, right? About as much as I laughed. Let's see. 19 Crimes turned. Oh, so they don't even talk about their wine on the back of this. They talk about the 19 crimes and they named it after. 19 Crimes turned convicts into colonists. Upon conviction, British rogues guilty of at least one of the 19 crimes were sentenced to live in Australia rather than death. For the rough-hewn prisoners who made it to shore, a new world awaited. As a pioneer in a frontier penal colony, they forged a new country and new lives, brick by brick. 19 Crimes Sauvignon Blanc honors their brave contributions. And then to learn more, blah, 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 go to 19crimes.com or download our app. So it's a Sauvignon Blanc. It should be a little less oaky than a Chardonnay. It should be kind of crisp. I don't know much about the difference between the actual berries for Chardonnay and a Sauvignon Blanc, but I've drank enough Sauvignon Blancs that I know the taste. Santa Margarita is one of my favorites. This one, I don't think I taste sweet wine. I mean, I don't get anything else, right? It goes down smooth without much distinctive flavor. It's pretty clean. It's a little cloying. Maybe pear and apple, but what white wine do you drink and go, I don't taste pear apple there? You always taste pear and apple. So, yeah, not the best. I'll stop partway through the book and talk about the app. So let's get down to the book, because this is wine and comics. And I'll tell you right off the bat, James Owsley is the writer, whom I don't know. Mark Bright is the penciler, whom I don't know. Neither of these are big names, yet they've written and drawn one of my absolute favorite comics of all time. Al Williamson is the inker, whom I don't know. Petra Scaltese is the colorist. Bill Oakley is the letterer. Kevin Williams is the cover inker. So far, I don't know any of these people. Ann Nocenti is the editor, whom I know very well from being the editor of like half the books I read in the 80s. She's amazing. And Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics at the time. And he I know as well. Starts off this kind of cool black and white art, but then it jumps right to this, which High Tide, right? And you've got Wolvie looking at his best in that yellow and blue costume, which is funny because he's got the brown costume on later in the issue. And this person who is a female but is disguised as a male, or at least Wolvie calls him by the name Charlie, and you got the hat on and the sunglasses, so in disguise either way. And it's classic Wolverine, right? There is definitely a battle, and he's like, we're outnumbered, and they're looking at me, and they give him that smile. You know what that smile means. And there's some talking right back and forth between Charlie and Logan right away, and then Wolverine gives that smile, pops his claws, and starts running towards them. And, you know, there's the classic Wolverine dialogue, like there's 100 of them. They all want Charlie dead. And you see some fight scenes, but then you see one of the things that I think is absolutely greatest artwork, that pink panel at the bottom there. Something about that with the barbed wire and just like the flashes, that color has always stuck with me as one of the best ways to represent what Wolverine does when he goes at it with somebody. And that right there, boom, really, really love that. So we kind of switch from this scene after Wolverine cuts up everybody and kills everybody. He loses Charlie's scent. Charlie's gone. And then we switch to Peter Parker in the black costume, and he's going down the street and he sees this lady. Not sure what the lady's doing in this neighborhood. She's sort of high class looking, has red hair like our friend from the last chapter. And there's this little girl, and turns out Bert and Sophie are dead, and she's crying, and Bert and Sophie own a bodega or whatever, a deli. And I think they used bodegas back then, at least not in Hell's Kitchen uptown maybe. And they've been shot, and she's crying, and Peter Parker goes in and sees them shot dead, and he realizes, you know, this has been a hit. It's very professional, but he doesn't know what to make of it. So he takes his pictures, of course, and he doesn't connect that lady that he saw. And when I first read this book, I didn't connect that lady with what's up, Comics on the Mind? How you doing? For you, it's not that late. That's good. Hop on if you want. I'm just discussing a little Spider-Man versus Wolverine, one of my favorite all-time comics. And I'm drinking a pretty mediocre Sauvignon Blanc. Like I said, you're welcome to jump on if you're interested. So we have Peter gets congratulated by Jonah because he went ahead and got some good pictures. And as Jonah's trying to get him to do more stuff, Ned Leeds comes in and he's got, Jonah, I got to talk to you. And they have this kind of quiet little like discussion. Turns out Ned has found out about this hitman that's killing all these former KGB agents, and they don't know the name of the hitman, but they're the ones, they shot the two in Bert and Sophie that Peter Parker knew as the deli owners, but apparently were undercover KGB agents. And so Ned's like, good. Jonah's like, good, Ned, you got to go to Germany, figure out what's going on. So, of course, you just fly people around to Germany to figure that sort of thing out. And then you kind of fast forward to the old folks home. Aunt May is there. Peter's there. Mary Jane's there. Peter takes Mary Jane out. And, of course, you get the classic, like, am I Peter Parker, who's in love with Mary Jane, or am I Spider-Man, who's a superhero? And, that's not too new. We've seen that dynamic before in Spider-Man stories forever. But then Spidey sense goes off, and there's a whole bunch of shooting going on downtown, and nobody's really sure why. And it's pretty standard issue comic stuff with Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And then as Mary Jane's there, and Peter's like, I'm never doing Spider-Man again. How many times you've heard that before? They get into an argument on the couch, and they end up kissing. And he's like, I almost forgot that she was, what does he say? I forgot the rules. I crossed the line. I forgot to tell myself, forgot to believe. Mary Jane isn't my girlfriend. I've just ruined a perfectly good lie by kissing her. So, that classic stuff back there. And then you switch back to the Daily Bugle, and Jonah is talking to Ned again. And Ned's convinced Jonah that he needs to go to Germany. At the same time, you see shots of Peter in his apartment throwing away his Spider-Man costume. I'm never doing Spider-Man again. It's ruined my life. Blah, 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 blah. So he goes into work, and Jonah's like, hey, you're going to go to Germany with this guy, and you're going to take pictures for him. And meanwhile, X-Men, Wolverine talking to Storm in my favorite Storm outfit. I got to leave. And of course, there's something going on with the Brood or the Shi'ar or the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I don't even know. Storm's like, you can't leave us now, Wolverine. And Wolverine's like, I'm going to leave you now, and you can handle it yourself. And if I stayed here, I wouldn't be of any help, and blah, 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 blah. Let's drink some wine. It doesn't get better. I mean, it's an okay wine, but it's not, hey, our chemist, how you guys doing? It's nothing special. It's nothing great. So we're both in Germany. And when Wolvie lands, he gets followed by KGB or, some agents. We're not sure. And he marks them right away. He kills them right away. And, more of the same. So we still have this setup. Wolverine, the killer, looking for his friend, not afraid to mix it up. And he can absolutely identify scents and identify agents. And he's got this training. Peter Parker, the bumbling fool, is going along on a photography assignment because he wants to get away from the mess he's made of his relationship with Mary Jane, and he doesn't want to be Spider-Man no more. You with me so far? Because that's pretty much the story so far. But, as much as it's a simple story, it's a story that has built over and over and over with these absolutely like classic Wolverine. The cigar up here, the hair, the short, the angry animal, the losing control, the claws, Peter Parker, Aunt May, Jonah Jameson, the Bugle. What this book does so well that has made it one of my all-time favorite reads is just establish these characters so perfectly well, right? I let them see my eyes. They aren't impressed. Things are going to get real tough real soon. Here comes that smile again. And so Wolvie's going to go kill him. Now he's walking through Frankfurt, Germany, or Berlin, Germany. And he catches the scent of somebody that he knows, but he only knows them as Spider-Man, not as this kid. So he's like, what the heck is Spider-Man doing here? Is he following me? Is he a KGB agent? All this sort of stuff, I don't know. So he busts into Peter's room, and Peter's like, wait a second. What the heck? And he's like, we got to go, kid. I got to talk to you. And so he takes him off through the streets of Berlin, and he's like kind of, almost goading him on, like, look, with your webs, can you keep up with me? And he's like, of course I can keep up with you with the webs. And so Wolvie's running across roofs, and Spider-Man's flying through the treetops, and Wolvie's like, nice kid. Clean cut, honest looking. That's what bothers me. Nobody eats that much apple pie. If he's KGB, he's good, real good, probably the best. Although he was overdoing it with a yes, Aunt May bit because he heard him on the phone. And then Peter Parker's recollections. What am I doing? I could be playing right into this guy's hands. How do I know that's really Wolverine and not a robot or something? How do I know he really knew my secret? I'm really blowing it here. Got to play along till I figure out this guy's angle. And so Wolvie stops eventually and Spider-Man catches up. He's like, kid, go home. I'm not going home. He's like, go home. All right. Is that a threat? No. This got something to do with that Charlemagne guy Ned's looking for. Right. And right now, when you hear it's Charlemagne and not Charlie, you sort of get the idea maybe it's a female. But Wolvie's like, the less you know, the better. You got to go home. So Peter's not convinced, but then he breaks into, or he goes into Ned's hotel room to say that he's leaving, and Ned is now tied to a chair with his throat slit and his hands behind his back and his mouth gagged. Don't know why you need the gag after you've cut the throat, but and there's a bunch of German agents there who start yelling at him in German, or maybe the Russian, or the same guy yells in Russian and German, and he doesn't know what to do. And of course, Wolvie pops in, and once again, we get that same color panel, which I just absolutely love. Just the slash marks, and this time instead of just the blood, it looks more like the shots of the machine gun. And to me, it's just great. That color. I don't know what it is about it, but I just absolutely love that color. I think it really depicted what we're talking about here extremely well. All right, so Wolverine and Peter take off, and Wolverine's like, you're going home now. And Peter is at the airport or bus station, and he's, they're like, next. And he's standing in line, people yelling at him. And then he's like, I can't go for Ned. So now we're kind of at the middle of the book. We've seen his friend get killed, or his colleague get killed, and now we need a little comedic relief. So Peter walks into a German costume shop and talks to the guy in broken German until he realizes the guy speaks English. And he's like, yeah, I don't have anything black and spandexy like you want. All I have is this silly looking costume that I was making for my son. And it's the classic red and blue Spider-Man, which at this time Peter is not wearing. This is post-Secret Wars Venom alien costume. So he's flying around in this D.A. Spina, the spider costume, and he's trying to track Wolverine down, and he's placed a tracer on Wolverine, so he's trying to follow him. A Spidey tracer is what he calls it. And in his mind, he's still thinking to himself, and get these quiet moments of contemplation while he's swinging through the airs of Berlin. The lights of the city sparkle around me. I feel like I'm free. I can fly again. I'm in love. The suit's not bad, just like an original outfit. I probably paid him too much, but what the hey, it's Jonah's money. Ironic, it's a shame. I planted a spider tracer in Wolverine. Now I'm glad I did. Just that sort of thing. He crosses the border and almost gets shot to death crossing into East Germany. But he makes it, and he's happy, and he gets there. And he follows the tracer, and there's 3 or 4 pages of him just going through Germany. Follows the tracer until he breaks into this room. I'm going to move the line over here because I keep knocking into it when I do this. And he's like, surprise! And it's like, haha, you just busted in on some newlyweds. Or, a married couple. And there's a note from Wolverine. You're in way over your head. Go home, bub. Bub. Gotta love it when he says bub. So now we quit that and we switch to a Wolverine. And the Spidey stuff is funny and is contemplative. Wolverine is more direct. He traces Charlie to this factory where a lot of people are dead. He walks into the factory and he finds Charlie on a desk. He's like, why? I ought to kill you. I ought to, after what you've put me through and all these people that you've been killing. And of course, that's when the costume gets revealed. Charlie is Charlemagne, is the same she that Peter saw in New York after Bert and Sophie died. And Wolverine and her obviously have a past. And they're in love. And I can't see where I'm putting this. There we go. So they drive back to her house because, of course, she has a house under an alias that's very expensive, and who knows where the house is, somewhere. And he takes her up to bed, And she's like, I know I'm going to die. I know that they're after me. I was in on I went out to the highest bidder. I was a freelance contractor. After that job was done, the KGB tried to kill me. I didn't let them. I killed them. Now I know too much. I'm too hot. I've been marked. Every intelligence agency in the world's coming after me. There's no place to hide. Wolvie carries her up, says, you won't need to hide. I'm here now. So it's this nice little fairy tale they're living where at least for one night they're going to spend together. And then either later that night or the next day, they don't quite make it clear. They go out to a restaurant. Wolverine smells an apple and he's like, it's been poisoned. And she's like, I know it's been poisoned. Everybody here is an agent. They're all out to get me. He's like, what should we do? She's like, nothing. Let's just enjoy this expensive food, chill out and eat it. And then we'll, kill them all later. Of course, who has some different plans, but Spider-Man, who comes crashing in, and you get a little like smack my head Wolvie, and he's like, hey guys, do you know that the apple's been poisoned? They're like, yeah. Do you know that everybody in here is an agent? They're like, yeah. It's like, what do we do now? And Wolverine goes, duck. And of course, Spider-Man jumped, which again is one of those little things in this book that I love. Even when they're in the face of danger, Spider-Man can't follow like Wolverine, the expert's information. So they duck, and then Charlemagne and Wolvie get to work killing everybody and ripping them apart. And Spider-Man's like, oh boy, I'm in over my head. I am not down with this. I am not up for this battle. Oh, teenagers. Exactly. Thinks he knows it all, thinks he has it all, and he does not. And they're like, Peter's like, where's your lady friend? And he's like, she's gone. Then why are we still here? And Wolvie's like, I had to take my mad out on somebody. So they go through the streets and they're looking for Charlie, and they're always like one step behind her scent. And everywhere they go, Wolverine's killing people while Spider-Man's kind of standing behind, sort of dumbfounded, like, what do I do? I don't get it. I don't belong here. This is not for me. I don't know what's going on. Before we get to the last act of this, let me just talk about the app. So the reason I got this wine was because I thought you just got the app and then you look these up. But you got the app, then you have to scan the label. And that took literally like a slow loading on my phone. And I've got like good Wi-Fi and good phone, but it took about 5 minutes of just standing there until something happened. Finally, you scan it, then you can play it. And what you do is you hold your phone up to this. And I can't show this to you because it doesn't work that well. But you hold your phone up to this, and in your phone, you see a picture of this guy, but it's like he's come to life. It's the augmented reality. And he's speaking in an Irish voice, and he tells you that he was a terrorist, and that's, he was a no good kid. And that's why the British got him. And he goes through this whole story and sends him away. It's cute, but it's worth getting an app on your phone. It's not worth taking the time to download. And since the wine isn't that good, the whole thing's not really worth it. I can't highly recommend 19 Crimes wine. It's a cute party trick. It's a cute little thing if you got some friends over. If you can deal with the taste, it's not a wine, but it's by no means a great wine. It also wasn't an expensive wine. And it's clean. It's not cloying. It's not sticking on the tongue even after my second and a half glass. But there's nothing distinct about it. There's nothing special. All right. Ready to stacked? Here we go. Spider-Man and Wolverine have had it. They are in each other's faces. They are angry. They are just not going to get along together anymore. So they separate. They go their separate ways. Grab a wine, man. Grab a wine. Jump on the stream and come on with me. Talk about some comics, right? Another great set of panels. Wolverine in meditation. Which way am I going? Wolverine in meditation. Calm. Peter Parker turning in his hotel room. Can't deal. Can't sleep. Wolverine's just meditating on the scene and what's going to happen. Eventually, he ends up at a Soviet cemetery at Trepton, and he sees Charlie there, and he realizes what's got to happen. Charlie's in this gown, almost looks like Mariko, and Wolverine holds her close, And Wolverine puts his claws up next to her, right next to her chest. He goes, she's facing the inevitable. That's where I come in. If she's got to die, she wants to die in my arms. She wants me to do it. She tells me if I ever loved her, I'd spare her the KGB torture camps. If I loved her, I'd pull the plug now. So this whole thing about Charlie, like, bringing him into the fray and then running away and then killing more KGB agents, but staying one step ahead of him while he traces her all around East and West Germany, is about she wants to finish business and wants him to kill her. Right. And so it goes from that kind of dark moonlight thing to now the stark reality of what's happening. So we're back to color and the perfect snicked, and he gets her, but he couldn't quite do it. He flinched a little bit, moved his wrist so the claws didn't go right in. And he's like, damn, I couldn't do it. He goes, I want to say anything, but instead I pop my claws, one last cut, and it'll be over. And this time, instead of snicked, you get, that's the sound that Spidey's web makes. So he's like, you crazy? You're killing her. I don't know what the heck you're thinking. What's going on here? And so now they're in a fight, right? You go from this beautiful scene here, this now back and forth yelling here. You don't understand. And Wolverine getting mad, and see Wolverine's face getting bigger and bigger here. And it's like, you'll never know the life I live. I'm doing this for Charlie. Right. So now there's this great fight in the cemetery between Wolverine and Spider-Man. And I love this one panel right here. Right here, where they're both looking kind of the same way, crouching down next to each other. I love this battle over here. Love a lot of this. Really, really cool stuff. It's just some great artwork and some great fighting. And then at some point, Wolverine kind of lets down and lets Spidey have it out. And Spidey is punching, smashing Wolverine into smithereens, right? Smashing him against a headstone in the cemetery. Then in the next page, Wolverine just jumps up and Spidey's like, I gave it all I got. And he's coming back. He still keeps coming, right? And then I know what I have to do. I have to kill him. So Spidey reaches up and grabs him by the neck. And Wolverine's like, Squirt, don't even kid yourself. You ain't a killer. You're not going to kill me. The only way for you to kill me is to use your super strength and snap my neck. And you don't got it in you. But I do. He does one of these classic Wolverine moves. But I do. All I got to do is pop my claws up through your throat. Right? He goes, I told you you're in way over your head. I could have cooled Charlie, stopped the killing. But now they'll never stop coming after her. So at this point, the fight's kind of gone out of, I want to make sure you don't see this. Right? So we're on this side here. The fight's gone out of him, but the lights come on from a copter, and there's intelligence agencies from everywhere. And then Spidey turns around, gets up, and you see this hand reach for him. And he turns and punches whoever it is in the face. Because remember, he's just been pissed at Wolverine and about to kill him, even though he probably couldn't do it. Turned out it wasn't Wolverine, it was Charlie. And she knew what she was doing. She put herself in front of Spider-Man's fist, basically. She could get punched to death, right? And she basically dies in Wolverine's arms. They have a tender moment talking about what could have been, blah, 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 blah. And Spidey sitting there, you know, to smack my head, but in a more emotional way, not in a silly, what did I just do way. And so then Wolverine just says, she's dead, and the lights from the helicopter go off, and everybody goes home. Except Wolverine, he can cross the border with a fake passport, get Spider-Man a fake passport, but all Spidey keeps seeing in his head is this replay punching this girl and killing the girl. Even if she made him do it, even if she tricked him into do it, he can't get away from the fact that he's just done it. Just punched her in the face. And on the next 2 pages, there's 3 panels of him reliving that while he's on the plane, while he's at the airport, while he's thinking about what to do. And he gets home, and, you know, Jonah calls him, and he hangs up on Jonah. He says, I can't even tell him that Ned died. And then finally, Mary Jane comes in, and this time he's like, I have what I need. I have a friend. Mike, you're back. Or you never left. I don't know. And that's it, man. That is the story of Spider-Man versus Wolverine. Um, I can't articulate all of why I like this, but I think as a teenager, I liked this book just because the action was cool, and it was two of my favorite characters, and Wolverine was absolutely my favorite character. And they were going at it. Like I said, it was a $2.50 book, and in 1985, I was not, I was not parting with a $2.50 book, but the way that I would today, because that was like double what most books cost. But even beyond that, man, I knew that the story was good because this character Charlie is kind of what I remember focusing on more. And it was so mysterious to me, this KGB agent, because this was like right post Cold War, full of Berlin Wall, 1989. In the book in 87, it was still up. So like in that mindset, I remember it meant something totally different to me. Now, as I reflect back on it, I'm like, this is such a freaking good book just because this is all about characterization, right? And they do such an amazing job establishing Peter's character, from the wannabe superhero to the confused about his girlfriend / friend Mary Jane, to the dutiful, doting nephew to Aunt May, to the cameraman just trying to like make it at the paper with the big city editor who yells and smokes cigars, with Wolverine, who's the tough as nails, tough as they come, killer who's got his own code, who doesn't take any gruff and who knows what's going on, and who's been trained as a secret agent, been trained as a ninja, been trained as an X-Men, who's got the adamantium claws, who's got the lovers all around the world. He's got Charlie in Germany. He has got Moriko in Japan.
What's up?
What's up, Comic? How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. I don't have any wine, so I have water. I just moved recently, so I'm still trying to like buy stuff.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I had some beer, but I drank that already.
I hear you. I've been taking it slow. Actually, my wife and I started the keto diet again, but I've been having the sugar in the wine recently, and so I'm kind of not being as strict as I should be. And my kid's been on a big baking trip, so like I can't get away from that either. Now, is this a book that you've read before by any chance?
No, I haven't read this story, so that's why I was like in the back just listening. Is this like a 90s story?
It came out in 87. The reprint came out in 90. So this is my time. This is when I was in high school, and I was walking to the corner shop after school every day, and they still had comics on the spinner rack at the local stationery store. And yeah, man, it was just the best. This story stuck with me. And some of it, like, I couldn't even tell you why, right? So I'm kind of remembering what I thought of it then, why I think it's a great story now. But in between, I don't know why I just loved it so much, but I didn't part with it. Like, I sold X-Men 150 to 250 to a friend of mine. This is back in 1991, I think. I sold 150 to 250, 100 issue run, for $100 or for like $75. So ridiculous, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So at the time, it was a decent price for it, though. And so I just this was one of the books that I did not sell, and so I know that it's always meant something to me, and that was like why I wanted to keep it. It just had that feeling, the sentimentality, and also just a kick-ass story. And like I said, to me it encapsulates who they both are. And
what issue is this?
It's a one shot, right? So Spider-Man versus Wolverine #1. You can find it for like 10 or 15 in decent shape, $20 tops in like best shape. It's not a key in that like none of Spider-Man, Wolverine, this is their billionth appearance. Yeah. The other characters aren't new characters, so nobody's going to call it a key. But it's one of those books that just based on how good of a book it is, it's got some value and some people know it. Mike, have you ever read it? I see you're in the chat, Mike.
What's up, Mike?
He's been trying to stay up, man. He's out there on the East Coast, so I give him credit, man. It's
kudos to you. I know, right?
It's 1:30 his time, been out there. What have you been reading lately?
one of my roommates is into. She reads a lot of trades, so
Yeah.
I've been reading. She let me borrow The Boys, so I've
Oh,
been
nice.
trying. I've been trying to get to that. Man, like it's dark.
Yeah, yeah. I have not read any. I just started the show, didn't finish it. It's been a lot of shows I've started, didn't finish.
Same
But
here.
it was really good. I got the first episode down. And yeah, you can see how dark it is.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff like Watchmen. I did the first episode and I haven't finished. Boys, I did the first episode and I haven't finished. Chernobyl, and three series. I don't know why, because I love them all.
Yeah.
I need the time to like sit and watch these, especially these serious ones. And I've just been so busy recently. I've been out. If I'm not teaching school, I've been out in the yard just like messing around. And so I've been in the garage building like garden boxes and stuff. And so I've had
Oh, that's what I want to do.
yeah.
Because our place has a little backyard now. This
Nice.
place I'm at right now. So, and they have a grow box back there, but no one's touched it. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if it's okay if I can like, beautify it up, with some plants. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always liked gardening. I just never had a chance. I never had the space to do it. When I was when I was there with my parents, I could do that, but that's not an option anymore.
I hear you. You. Yeah, no, my last house we bought had this it had this berm, right? It was just like we were on a corner, but there was this little hill went up about 6 feet, this flat top, about 200 feet long by about 25 feet wide. And so I got some wood cheap at Home Depot, like from their like returned wood section. Cleared that land, and I put up about 12 garden boxes.
Sweet.
I like went overboard. So I was watching all these videos on how to garden because I really had no idea. And this one guy, he said you could either go bit by bit or you could just overdo it and go all in. And that's what I did. And I planted every one of those boxes, not realizing that it's not a good idea to plant everything at the same time, because then everything comes up at the same time. And it's like,
some stuff is faster, some stuff is slower.
You can't eat that much lettuce. Like I had 20 heads of lettuce come up in one week.
Yeah.
They're not.
It grows fast, dude.
Yeah, I learned. It took me a while, but I learned. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I got pretty decent at gardening, and then I let it grow over a little bit because I got busy, and then we moved. I had to clear the land again, so it was all like beautiful. And then the lady who lives there now has just done nothing with it. So I go by there every once in a while. I'm like,
like my space. No,
yeah, exactly.
You said it was a hill. So were you growing on a hill or?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to find out on Google Maps if I can show you. Get the satellite picture here. Is that my old house? Yeah. Let me go ahead and share the screen here. What do I got? How do I do application window, boom, boom, boom.
Bing, bada, boom.
I need to make myself smaller, I think. Can you see the map now?
Yeah, I can see the map.
Okay, so this that's not my house. Where the hell am I?
Someone's got a little pool in the front.
I'm trying to get this straight. Okay, here I am. This is the trampoline. So this was my house right here, right? And this was the deck right here. And wow, this picture is a few years old because this is my old car. See how close?
That's hilarious.
So yeah, so this was taken this summer. So this whole thing is just like, this is my driveway right here.
Yeah.
Right? And then this extra bit of land, and you see this green here. When I moved in, this whole thing was covered in like 4-foot tall weeds. So I just destroyed this thing down. This right here must have been from about 4 years ago, this picture. These are cement blocks I put in on top of weed block to make like a barrier for the edge. And then you can just barely see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, looks like 12. and then over here's a compost bin. So I had this whole thing, and there was no trees blocking it. So it was full sun all summer long, and yeah, that was really cool. And I just grew and grew and grew and grew stuff there. Had this little shed, had this slab here, and yeah, sad to leave that, but it's a small house, and we moved down the street just above. So if you talk to people who live in Tacoma, they talk about I got to make this a bit. They talk about Hilltop, which is like the high crime area, and that Tacoma. I stopped just short of Hilltop. Like Hilltop starts after my after where I live. So where did I move over here? Nope, a little bit too far.
Yeah, I've never been.
Trying to see. I think I don't know where I live. That's Ferry. Oh man, is that my hat? No, where the hell am I? You ever look at? Oh, there we go. I'm too
street name.
This is oh yeah, this is an older picture. So this gas station right here is just a hotbed of the cars. Like there'll be my Nissan Sentra here, and then a Lincoln Navigator here. And you know that the Nissan Sentra belongs to the school teacher, and the Lincoln Navigator belongs to the drug dealer. And people just pull up.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's why this is like a 12-foot tall fence. It just covers, it just totally covers our house.
That's hilarious.
But we're dealing with we're just dealing with that element there. A lot of, they usually keep to themselves, but it's just, once in a while you get somebody goes a little crazy.
Well, I'm already knowing.
Yeah. So I just built back here, put in a couple boxes in this area here. And that's kind of, yeah, what I'm up to. So Wine and Comics late at night turned into my garden.
Gardening 101.
And we gained 2 viewers.
Well, I like gardening, so it's like that doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. So, what else besides the boys you reading?
My homie sent me issue 2 of Black Panther and 3. So I read issue 1. I had issue 1, but I hadn't had a chance. And I'm gonna finish reading. I'm gonna get to issue number 3 tonight.
Oh,
sweet. I've been reading that. What else have I been? Defenders. I finished reading up to Bendis' Defenders up until issue number 8, and his run of Defenders is really good. I love that version of the Defenders. Well, I mean, I clicked the original Defenders. That's a really good group. But this, yeah. I'm trying because you talk about TV shows, and I'm like I'll watch shows in patches too. And I'm still trying to finish a lot of the Netflix Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
To the Defenders, even though I heard like Defenders wasn't really that great of a show.
It was okay. I think they didn't know really what to make it, so they made it about this building and this building. And there was a couple funny things when they're like going to that product. Why do you have that thing tied around your face? But it didn't really do it for me. I love Jessica Jones, but
I didn't think I was gonna like it, but that first season was really good.
First season was really good. It kind of fell off after that. I liked Luke Cage in Jessica Jones, but I didn't like Luke Cage's own show. That didn't do it.
First season was good. Second season is meh. I'm still finishing second season, but it's not as great as it was. That's the first one. First one was a lot better.
And I have not watched Iron Fist. My wife actually watched it, but I heard it was so horrible.
It's. I'm only stomaching it so I can get to the other stuff. And I haven't watched The Punisher.
So Punisher is really interesting because there were times when I'm like, all right, that's just too much blood. Like you made the point. I don't know what point we're trying to make, but there are other times when there's really good meditations on good versus evil, vigilantes versus following the law versus, what is right, what is wrong, who decides. I mean, they really dwell on the questions a lot. They don't just go at it. So there's these mixtures of, when to cross the line, what is the line to cross. But then once the decision's been made, it's like, okay, you could shoot him 20 times and hit him 50 times. You don't have to shoot him 50 and hit him 100. It it seemed too much, and I know some people were like, it's all right, but for me it was a little too much. I just wanted to show you back here. I got 2 books in the mail the other day talking about where are we at. Did I put them away? Yeah. I just got these 2, which I've wanted for a while. The Tichetto Battle Lines variant for Black Panther, which I love.
Oh, well, what's that? Is that Black Panther?
That's Black Panther 2 from Ta-Nehisi Coates' run, but it's just it's a virgin variant.
Nice.
I really think it's cool.
That's a cool cover.
Sorry, that is not issue 2. What is that? That is from, I think, once it's issue 170. So I think it's once Ta-Nehisi Coates' run ended and they rebooted it, and then they went to the legacy numbering.
Nice.
This is number 2. This is Run the Jewels variant.
Oh my gosh! I love those Run the Jewel variants. Those are really cool. Yeah. I have patches of that Black Panther. I'm definitely trying to like read it. I also read. I finally finished Kanto. I've had like
really
6 issues. It was, oh my gosh! I can't wait until the second run of this. It's going to be so good.
Here to do another story. Hey, I just want to shout out Chaos and Comics and JoJo, who, gosh, I still remember her and her old name, but now she is Flicks and Comics, representing both the movies, specializing in horror and comic.
I love horror movies.
You got to talk to JoJo then, because she is the horror movie aficionado.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up. My mom was like a horror sci-fi person, so I watched a lot of like 80s horrors growing up.
My 5th grade teacher read Halloween to us.
Really?
In 5th grade, read that book Halloween to us, and he censored a few parts, but like there's no way a 5th grade teacher should have been reading that to a bunch of kids. It was freaking us out, and like kids would ask to leave the room and he'd let us go outside in the hallway if we thought it. This must have been like a year or 2 after Halloween came out, but that year Halloween 2 came out. And
Halloween 2 was my first boob I ever saw.
My friend's mom took us to see it, and I remember hiding behind her jacket because it was so frightening. I was 11, right? Because I have an October birthday, so I was young for.
My brother does too. Yeah.
So whatever grade I was in, I was young for it. I was frightened like you wouldn't believe, and I had nightmares. I asked to sleep in my sister's room. I asked to sleep with the lights on. I could not. What's up, Weapon X? I could not let the lights go out. It was like 2 weeks of just absolute horror. And now Halloween 2, now I realize that Halloween 2 is like more of a slasher flick. But the first Halloween, Halloween, the original movie, was just amazing. I mean, the scene where he's standing in the laundry and Jamie Lee Curtis looks out her window, sees him, looks out her window, and he's gone.
Yeah.
I love that. That is so frightening. Absolutely frightening. Hey, I want to say what's up to Funk Comics 814, and thank you, my friend, for dude. He just sent me a great AOK.
Really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
He sent me the last issue of Nom, which I did not have, and I'm trying to collect the Nom, which is really awesome.
Do you have the first issue?
I do.
Okay. That's the only issue I have.
No, I have that. He sent me this X-Men, which is.
Oh, I love that cover. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first appearance of the Shi'ar Death Commando Squad or something along those lines. And
I want to.
Go ahead.
I want to collect that House of M run. I'm reading. I'm collecting Avengers Disassemble right now. The kind of like pre stuff to that, But that's a good storyline.
Yeah. So is it? Avengers Disassemble, is that the one by Kelly Sue DeConnick?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So I've got a few of those just because she's one of my favorite writers. But I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't read them yet. I've just been collecting them and get her signatures on them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also read Man Without Fear, though the story that led up to what's his name, Chip. Just I can't pronounce.
He's run.
Yeah, yeah, and that was really good. Seeing him deal with like his fear like literal manifestation, of the that skeleton in his old original costume. That was creepy as shit.
I don't know that. That's awesome.
It's really good. And there's like the last issue, because this is around the time where Kingpin is like the mayor now,
right?
And he's like standing up because he hired someone like to like assassinate him, like hit him with a car. So he's like that whole 6 issues is him like basically recovering and him dealing with his fear, because he was gonna quit.
Have you read this Darsky run?
I have up to issue number 6. It's really good. I need to like finish it.
It takes about double that amount of issues before he finally comes back to being Daredevil again.
Really?
It's a really slow burn, and I think Elektra's kind of the one that pulls him out of it. And it got to a really pivotal point, and then COVID happened. So I don't know what's going on, but
those covers are awesome though.
Covers are great. Is Zdarsky? Is it Chichetto as well?
Let me jump. I think I have it somewhere around here.
I can't remember it. Oh, that's funny. I just GA. No,
here's issue number 5. Yeah, I think it's Chichetto. Yeah, it is.
Okay, so he's the same one who did that.
Yeah, these covers are.
Oh, it's just funny.
Yeah.
Jojo, if you're still there, that came in like an AOK or a prize winning from you. I just happened upon it as I was looking through my D's. As I was looking through the D. And what else? So I got when I was at Emerald City Comic Con last year, I was in line with David Sinking Near Mint Comics, and he was getting this signed and slabbed.
Oh, that is a great cover. Is that a variant?
It's the retailer exclusive to number 1, and then Chip did a little sketch down there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I got the regular number 1 signed as well.
Yeah, that's a good cover too. I have to buy another copy because I bent mine's, so it's like not in the greatest condition. But it was, like I said, it was a great read.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I think Zdarsky. It's amazing because Zdarsky went from like he did a few things on his own, but he basically went from being the man who drew sex criminals with Matt Fraction to like being this and being a total goofball to being a totally serious writer that everybody's taking really seriously with the stuff that he does. So it's really cool. Yeah, it was a cool remark, Jojo, and it's really nice because I didn't expect Dave to do it. So Dave and I are like 100% totally different. I don't know if anybody out there knows SNMC. Hasn't been around too much recently, but I was going to buy comics, and I kind of like an any condition guy. I can look them out around.
Same here.
I have 3 slabs or 2 slabs, I think. 3 slabs, 1 I'm trying to sell. So it's just like, I'm not a slab guy. Dave is all about the CGC witness and the slab and the signature. So everywhere we went, I have my little chart. I'm like, I'm going here next, and I'm going to stand in this line. He's like, okay, I'll go get a witness to. So he went to the CGC booth, and I won't say what he spent, but he spent a lot of money on getting books slabbed and reslabbed, getting witnesses to follow him around to get signatures. And it was amazing. Like, so I would watch him at work, and he just getting in line and getting guys to witness stuff and getting all of his business taken care of, but also cutting deals, but also just being really generous and giving out gifts and giving me that book and stuff. And we went to a small con a few months after that. And I was looking at a book. I can't remember. I gave him a copy of Vision number 1 because he didn't have one. And then I was looking at a book, and I was haggling for it. And I was about to take like the guy had it listed at 60. And I was going to,
book was it?
I can't remember. I think it was the first appearance of Squirrel Girl. And
Nice.
I think I had the guy talk down to 40 or something. And then Dave just kept bothering him. And it looked like it was a kid who was running the booth for his dad. And he got him down to like 20 or 30 and then bought it. And I was pissed because it was like Dave just bought it from under my nose, but then he gave it to me. I was like, all right, I get what's going on.
That's hilarious.
It's just, but I mean, like, I wouldn't even have tried to go as low as he did. I would have felt bad, but he just like, he's in business mode. And he went, and he has the nose for these things. So it's
my brother's like that when we go to because flea markets are really big out here in the Bay Area, and like every time we were raised on the flea market. Every time he goes, he'll like haggle his. It's like don't pay that much money for that. I'm like, it's a rare. No, you're not paying that. we'll go for this. And then they say, "Oh, all right, we're out."
Right. And I think that in my mind, if I break even with the guys, like if they have a high price and I mention a low price, we end up in the middle. I'm like, okay. But some people are like, no, I'm going to stick to the low price or I really will walk away. And I'm like, well, I don't want to walk away. I really want to buy that. So it's just not in my nature to be like that. So it's really good for me and Dave to hang out because you just, we have different approaches and they kind of complement each other. And I remember we went to the creator of Little Bird at the Image booth.
Oh, that's
and they had the Emerald City Comic Con like exclusive variant, and the guy literally said, "No CGC witnesses. I'm only signing for like fans. I'm not signing for people." So Dave and he had him kind of stand out of the way around the corner behind somebody. And as soon as like he got it signed, the witness followed him back to the booth and put down. So he's got like the only signed convention exclusive variants that are like CGC witness. I'm like, wow. Joe, you're right. It is.
I agree. I was just about to say it is a skill. I don't have it.
No, my wife's better at that than I am too. It's just not something in my nature. Let's see if I did that wrong. Let's do this.
Josie might like this if she's into horror. Another series I've been trying to get into is Black. I don't read a lot of DC, but this story like really encapsulated me. And I have like a lot of the tie-ins, like the Superman and the Batman tie-ins. And this story is like really good. Like,
what is that about? Because I know it's popular. I've come across different issues, but I never got into that at all.
It's like zombified. It's like zombies basically, but I guess it's like the Black Ring, and it basically brings people back to life, and they feed off people's rage and fear, I believe, and like basically they're ripping out hearts to like consume. And that's how they get the the energy for their rings, through killing people, which is it's sick, but it's a really good read. Like I'm finishing the Batman one, and like I just they just brought back one of the Robin's parents, the one that does like his parents were like trapeze artists.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Dick Grayson or
they brought back the Grayson family, so it's really good. Yeah,
that's insane.
And I heard Brightest Day was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to find. I don't know. That's another reason why I want to read it, because I have some of like the Brightest Days. Because when I started collecting comic books, I'm different than a lot of the you guys collectors that have been collecting since you guys were like pulling stuff off the spinner rack. I wish I was doing that when I was a kid, but I've only been collecting for like 6 years. So a lot of the stuff I bought, I was just buying. This looks interesting, and I was teaching a comic book class, when I was a couple years ago. So I needed material to reference. So I was just buying a bunch of shit, so my students could have a reference of like, oh, here's a different type of superhero, You don't have, and so I bought a bunch of stuff that I haven't had a chance to read, but during quarantine time now I have the chance to read it. Yeah. And I had these books like in bags, they were like bagged together in like 3 issue volumes. So I'm like, I might as well open these up and start reading them. And they're really good,
That's good, yeah. I think we forget how good some of these books are and how good the art is, and just how good a good read is. And that's why I started this Wine and Comics Late at Night, because I've been reading so much, and I wanted to just kind of start talking more about like books that I love. And so I did those first 3 issues, or the first 3 shows were about the TKO Studio stuff. And then I switched to this, which is kind of nice. And actually, I don't know where I'm going next week. That's a good question. I'm looking around. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do Witches, because I got Witches is right down there.
I haven't read that one. Who makes that one?
That's Scott Snyder and Jacques, who, super popular from their run together on Batman.
Yeah.
But they did this horror comic for Image, and I hear that they're doing more with it. But they came out with like a 5-issue limited series plus like a Christmas special or something. And it is scary. I mean, it's hard for a comic book to scare me. Witches does. Wraith by Joe Hill does. There's not much, but there's a few out there that can scare me. Yeah, so Witches is really good. I'll show you the cover, the top cover. This actually was on my top 50 covers video, and just this like little hint of a figure in behind all those trees.
Yeah, I see it.
Blood.
This looks pretty spooky.
Right, and then this one too, just the ear in the neck, or the eye in the neck.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so Witches was a really good read. I'll bet you JoJo's read it. If not, she should. And this was, it was Bad Egg Halloween special. This was the Halloween special they came out with, and it kind of too much. It predates the other issues in terms of chronology.
I'm trying to read. There's not a lot of horror that I've been reading in comic books. Like a lot of like the Black Label stuff is pretty good. Like Joe Hill his work is pretty good. Like Dollhouse, I love.
I'm not reading Dollhouse. I'm reading Basket Full of Heads.
Yeah, I am too. I only have up to issue number 4. But,
okay, you're only like one behind then, because they stopped at 5 and then the shutdown. So.
Well, a lot of people were hating on it because they were saying it's like too slow. But I mean, I think horror is slow build up. Horror is good, Yeah,
I mean, what are you going to do? Do everything in one shot? then you sell 3 issues and you're done. Yeah, no, I like it. It's very much it's very much a throwback to like these horror, right?
Anthologies.
Even the fact that it takes place back in like it seems like it takes place back in the 80s, looking at like her short shorts and the outfits, but just like the whole concept of just like cutting up these heads and collecting them in a basket. That's very much like an 80s horror sort of trope, which is kind of cool. Definitely good. What I'm reading right now is I got the hardcover next to my bed is Monstrous, which is just
I need to read that.
That's amazing. I've got all the issues, but like after the first 6, I just stopped reading because I got behind. Like I got issue 1 through 6 in a trade paperback. Somebody gifted me issue 1, and so I had to trade paperback issue 1. And then I found a few of the issues, and then I started collecting it. So I'd read 1 through 6, and I started filling in 18, 17. Finally, I backfilled all the way so I had a complete run. Then I started putting on my pull list, but I didn't want to go back and read because sometimes single issues, reading like 30 of them in a row just bothers me too much. So I got the hardcover finally. Half Price Books was having like a big online sale.
Nice.
And it's really good. It's really complex. I feel like I've got to read it twice to really understand everything. And at the back of the hardcover is a glossary, and the glossary it tells you everybody's backstory and everybody's relationship and which side everybody's on. And it basically, a lot of stuff that you were left to kind of guess, or I think assume based on the way they drew things, was now stated clearly. So for me, like having this glossary in the back of the hardcover really brought the whole thing to life, because the artwork is amazing. The writing, the plotting is really good. But as much as I loved it, I was having a little bit of trouble following everything perfectly. Until I got to the glossary. I'm like, that's what I thought. That's who I thought she was. Okay, she is a double agent. I was wondering why she was on that side in one chapter and that side in the next chapter. Like some things just didn't quite fit, or I wasn't confident enough that they were what I thought they were until I read the three. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that.
I like books like that have like a lot of reread value. You know, I was reading. I don't know if you read Decorum by Hickman, and I had to read that like 3 times to really like understand. Yeah, you never heard of it? It's a new indie that Hickman put out. Definitely, it has like his like tropes of like all his symbols and read between the lines, and it's really good, you know.
Did you read The Dying and the Dead?
No, I haven't. But
Same thing.
Another book that people have told me to read.
Yeah, lots of symbols, lots of weird things. So I had started to collect House of X and Power of X, and I got like issue 1 of each, and I couldn't do it as singles. Like, it was bothering too much. The way
I've heard the same thing. I was lucky. I put it on my pull list like ASAP as soon as like it got announced, you know. But I heard like reading it in trade paperback is a lot better.
I got the hardcover that contains the whole thing, and it blew me away. It was one of my top stories, because X-Men was my original love back in the 80s, but I haven't loved a lot of recent X-Men. I haven't kept up with it, and I think I felt like it had been played out for a long time.
Yeah, I like that run before Hickman took over. I heard a lot of people did not like it, you know.
Yeah, I've heard both. I've heard people didn't like it. I heard people didn't. I got about half of them collected, but the Hickman House of X, Powers of X, it was just universe altering. It did things that nothing else has done.
I heard Chris Claremont was pissed initially when it came out.
Because you know what, Claremont had set up the Xavier Magneto dichotomy, and that held for 30, 40 years, right? This idea that Xavier is always going to try to do what he thinks is good. Magneto is always going to try to take over. But Xavier in his own way is just as much a dick as Magneto.
I agree. I didn't realize how manipulative he is until I got into the comic book community and started like reading more stuff. I'm like, geez, like this dude is like, he uses like the X-Men like pawns almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's convinced of his own goodness. So, that made it always seem right to him. And I think Hickman, you've got to give him credit for taking it head on and switching it up like he did. And this whole idea now that they're basically declaring themselves better than everybody and separate from everybody. Clearly not a lot of people like that, right? I mean,
they turn them into Magneto basically, because that's like Magneto always believed like we are the superior race, like
and even for me, like me, it hurts because it challenges my concept of the X-Men as who and what they are and what they've been, and to see them flip so wholly into like Magneto's and the idea that yes, we are a race and our race is superior, that should offend anybody, right? But they're embracing that fully. Now I'm certain that a year from now or 2 years from now, there's going to be some cataclysmic event that makes them all second guess what they've done, and you're going to see things return to kind of status quo. But I give Hickman all the credit in the world for bringing us there, and for keeping us there. I mean, there's this, I haven't read it, but this Fantastic Four X-Men crossover like 4-issue series. I think issue 1 came out and then Shutdown came out. And it's basically Reed Richards saying, Charles, you're a fucking idiot. What the fuck are you doing? And then the rest didn't come out yet. So and Zdarsky wrote that. So that should be really interesting to see how that.
Yeah, I think the first two issues came out before Yeah. Because I read the first 2 issues and they bring Doom. I love the fact that they're like putting Doom in the spotlight. I don't know if you read like
I didn't read any
Dr. Doom. No. It's so good. Issue number 3 had me cracking up because he basically got killed and was sent to hell, and he basically kicked the shit out of like Mephisto. Mephisto's like, you can't touch me down here. He's like, I'm doomed, and like he kicked his ass. It's really good, like because it shows like the the light side of Doom too. Even though he's like, come on, he's a super villain, but it shows like the love that he really has for his Leviathan, his people,
Right, Latvia.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a really good read. What else have I been reading? Like I said, I've been reading a lot of here and there. Like here's these covers are awesome. These Man Without Fear covers, yeah.
That's the Bendis one you were talking about, yeah.
No, the Bendis ones are over. Give me 1 second. They're right here, and those covers are good too. Hold on. My lighting sucks in my room right now. Yeah,
nice.
These covers are really good. Like the one issue number 5 is my favorite. It's like basically a close shot of Luke Cage and like bullets coming this way and like bouncing off him and destroying like the title. It's really I love those books that the title gets destroyed.
Yeah. That's cool.
I'm also reading Separation Anxiety, which is really good. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but it's really good. I'm gonna read the stuff before it.
I don't think I've read a Venom story since Secret Wars 8 or since like the Spider-Man right after that. I just Weapon X is here 3 times. I just haven't read much Venom at all in like the history of Venom.
Me either. I definitely want to read more. I know Diamond Kate's run on Venom has really like sparked some interest. I didn't read that whole. I read issue 1, and then like I jumped on 23 when they did Venom Island Part 2.
Okay.
When he's like trying to take out Carnage. Yeah, that's a really good read too.
Well, yeah, no, I like. I just haven't read much Venom.
You're an X-Men fan, right? Have you? Because I'm thinking about reading some of like the X-Men Gold, Red, Black. I don't know if it's. I hear things like I hear good things. I hear not so good things.
I think all decently written. I know like.
What's the difference? Are they just different teams?
There's so many X-Men characters that they decided they could do so many teams and keep going. And that's where I kind of like lost interest in the X-Men is just.
I hear the same thing. That's why I'm kind of like iffy about
they're not bad stories to read, and they're not bad comics to read. But there's only you can't just keep introducing new characters to make your books big because people get tired of it. So there was nothing earth-shattering happening, and there was nothing new happening. If you're new to comics, maybe you didn't know, so you'll get the good evil dichotomy, the Magneto trying to destroy the world, Xavier trying to change the world, and all the different iterations of that, and even with different teams, I just don't think it was going to get anywhere. That's why I think what Hickman did was awesome. He said, screw this, let's change up everything, let's rewrite the history, but in a way that fits everything. And base it on Moira McTaggart and change her trajectory, and you'll see all these flashbacks and all this future stuff, and all of a sudden you'll have a brand new playground to play with now. And it wasn't just like they rebooted Red, Black, and Blue and Gold. Marauders and all these different titles are coming out of this House of X, Powers of X. They're all coming out of this different world, basically. And I just think it's amazing that you can still do that after 40 or 50 years of the X-Men being around. You can find something fresh and new to do to just revamp the entire line.
Yeah, because there's only so much you can do before it starts like the story starts getting stale, and you just kind of like fall off reading it.
Yeah, and I mean it's also it gets stale. But you could bring new readers in for a little bit, but you're basically, I think the way that comics are now, a lot of new readers are coming either digital or trade. They're only picking up single issues if there's a new appearance or a great cover or it becomes a key, people are not reading comics the way that they used to.
The whole spec game.
It's hard to get into them, but I think that Hickman changed that with the X-Men a little bit. So I think it's a really nice thing that he did.
Yeah,
I kind of dig it. Well, it is late, and I appreciate having you on, but I have drank half a bottle of wine, and I've said my piece on Spider-Man versus Wolverine. Again, this is one of the best reads I've ever read. I highly encourage people to go out and get this. And that's it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
I will catch you soon. Take care.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good night. And also, if you want me to hop on next time, I'll definitely help. Just let me know.
Really, I'll tell you what. I'll figure out if there's a book that we both have that we can read.
I was the same thing. Yeah, for sure.
Wine. I'm not changing the name of the show.
I'll have some wine next time.
Right. Sounds good, man. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Have a good night. Bye, everybody in the chat. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.